keep on making, yes, you keep on making, make it alright. You keep on making, yes, you keep on making, make it alright, alright, alright.
Hey, y'all, listen, happy Friday, happy Friday, happy Friday. I'm glad to see y'all in the building hanging out with the diva. Yes, it is a late train, okay? It's a late train. But listen, I'm glad y'all hopping on this train with me, even though it's Friday night and it's late. And if you're here, do the diva a favor, hit the like button. My goal is to hit 50K subscribers this month of June. I know we only got 10 days left, but anything is possible, okay? So hit the like button. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe and, hang out with the diva. So I'm here for a late night trending topics, and the title is simple. It's called Tragic. It's called Tragic. But before I get into that, I was hanging out in the streets today. Yes, I was in the streets of New York. Absolutely gorgeous day out here in Jersey, in New York, and I had a really great time with friends. Went to the Met Gala. I'm saying the Met Gala. I got Met Gala on my mind for some reason. I ain't going to no Met Gala. I went to the Metropolitan Museum out there in New York, and they have an exhibit there called Super Fine. It's tailoring Black style. So it's fashion. Listen, it went into the history of Black fashion. When I tell you it was a high level educational moment with just amazing fashion, absolutely beautiful. I'm trying to document more and better when I go places. So I took a bunch of pictures. I'm going to see if I can edit these pictures, put it together in one video to kind of show y'all. But I had an absolute ball. Went to a great Italian restaurant for lunch. I had a ball, and I bought this book for my coffee table that I have not gotten yet for my living room, but I will get one soon. But this is the book. I hope y'all can see that. That was on the exhibit for the display I went to. And when I tell y'all, Diva had a ball. Diva had a ball. It was absolutely amazing, beautiful. If you live in the New York, New Jersey area, I don't know how long that display is going to be there, but you got to go. And Louis Vuitton is the sponsor of said exhibit. And when I say amazing, amazing, the fashion is beautiful. They got a Prince shirt there. They had Marvin Gaye like hat there. They had, what's his name, Andre from Vogue that passed away. They had one of his famous caftans there. I mean, it was a sight to see. It was absolutely beautiful. I had a great time. Let me put my book back there because I don't want nothing to happen to it. I had to pay a lot of money for that book, but it was amazing. I had a beautiful time. I was in the streets today, and that's why I'm kind of late, doing my little show tonight. But, let's get into it. Tonight's title is called Tragic. Tragic. Thank you, Flip. It is called Tragic. And it's seeming like Fat Joe, according to this new lawsuit that is out, he hosted Diddy-like parties. Thank you, Katrina. Thank you, Katrina. Andre Talley. Thank you. Okay, we got to just do straight talk here, right? So, a lot of these celebrities, they've been laying low. They've been acting like they don't know what a Diddy party is. They never went to one, or if they went, they left before the after party and all this other nonsense. But you know what I think? I think more of them were there than not. A whole bunch of them knew exactly what Diddy was doing and they watched. A lot of them took part in the debauchery. And they're being quiet because they don't want their name to come up. Now Fat Joe is being accused of some similar like behavior, minus the baby oil in the substances. It's a mess. It seems like Hollywood, it's like they get bored because if they want a car, they could go buy it. They want a house, they could go buy it. They want the clothes, they could go buy it. They want to go on a trip, they can do that. So I guess for them, the next thing is just having live parties with people just getting it in. I don't know what Fat Joe did or didn't do. I just know what he's being accused of, and it's a trending topic, so we got to talk about it. Then we're going to do the Diddy Trial Updates. This judge is a piece of work. But I've been saying that from the beginning. I've been calling this thing a circus. And the defense asked for juror number 7 to be removed. And the judge came back and said, no, I'm not surprised. But this judge doesn't seem impartial to me. But that's my theory. And y'all know, y'all done heard me say it 1,000 times. But we will do the Diddy Trial Updates today. Then this is the last thing tragic. No matter who you are and what you do, the prices have gone up. Used to go to the grocery store and I would come out with bags and bags and bags, and maybe I spend $100 and something. Now I have a bag and it's $100 and something. And you like, what happened and what did I get? So for people to run their small business, any restaurant or whatever, they're in the struggle too. And my thing is, don't go out to eat if you can't afford it. These 3 people went out to eat. The bill was $200. And actually, to be honest with you, with 3 people and the bill's only $200 is nothing. They go out to eat. The bill is $200 and they just run off and don't pay the bill. Well, the owner had cameras. And they showed this footage of them dining and dashing and blasting them all over social media to the point where one called up and said, can I just come and pay my bill? And the owner's like, no, too late. Too late. Because we got to make an example out of you so nobody else think they're going to come here and dine and dash and get away with it. We going to put you on notice, put you on blast, so the next person that think they're going to come to our restaurant and dine and dash, they're going to know something. They're going to think twice. So no, they called the authorities and everything. Yeah, dummies. And that's what they get. They thought they was going to pay the bill and make this thing go away. The owner said, nah, not today. I don't want it. They said people called up and said, can we come and pay their bill? Nope. And right away, because of the camera, people knew right away. They was like, oh, that's Diva that Dine and Dash. And they called the shop and told the people who they were. And that's what you get. It's despicable. It's terrible. If you had a service for somebody, pay them back. Pay your bill. If friends used to call me and be like, you want to go out? If I had it and I want to go, I will go. If I didn't have it, be like, nah, I got to pass on this one. I'm not going, and then I'm not going to pay my part of the bill. I'm going to go and plan and do a dine and dash. I'm not going to sit there and eat nobody food and then run off without paying. It's wrong. So listen, baby, everybody. Y'all know what time it is because it's late. I'm going to bring the people on the building. So what do I need in the chat? I need a what? I need a choo-choo. All aboard, everybody. It is Friday night trending topics, and we got stuff to talk about. Okay, tonight's title is real simple. It's called Tragic. Fat Joe accused of throwing Diddy-like parties. The Diddy Trial Updates. They're saying that this defense is probably by next week. They saying we're going to have a verdict. By next week, they thinking we're going to have a verdict. It's kind of scary. And that ain't even Diddy. It ain't even my life on the line. And then we're going to talk about the Dine and Dashes. Let me bring my one passenger in the building. Hey, Savannah.
Hi, Diva. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Happy Friday. I hope you had a good Friday. My Friday was amazing. We might as well go ahead and start this thing off and knock it out with the Diddy Trial Update. So let me go ahead and share screen. Let's see. So Diddy Trial highlights more substances because he said he's not a drug mill. So Brendan Paul, the one that was caught at the airport when they was raiding Diddy's homes, he took the stand today. So it's more drugs and freak offs, and they thinking we're gonna have a verdict by next week, which is crazy. Let's take a listen to TMZ give their update, and I'll do some fill-ins too.
He testified, I would set up hotel rooms for freak offs. I would sometimes buy drugs for Diddy, do things like that. Okay, what does that have to do with racketeering? Today was a good day for the defense. I think the defense, in many ways, may have won today. And I think this is stunning. But we may get a verdict in the Diddy case next week. Next week. We thought that the defense was going to spend 2 weeks presenting a case. They are going to spend at most 2 days, maybe only 1 day. And that day is going to come early next week. The prosecution is expected to finish Monday. And that means on Tuesday, the defense has its day. Maybe goes into Wednesday, maybe not. And then they have closing arguments. They may have rebuttal, but I doubt it because the defense isn't going to put on that many witnesses. And so they do closing arguments. The judge gives instructions. And on Friday, I could see the jury deliberating. And what's interesting is we're now coming up on a holiday. We're coming up close to the 4th of July. And I can tell you, having covered scores and scores of trials, that one of the things that makes a jury decide on guilt or innocence is a holiday. That juries typically want to finish before any kind of an extended holiday. They also like to finish on Fridays so they don't have to spend the weekend worrying and coming back on Monday. So I'm not saying this is going to be a one-day verdict, but it could be. And I know that when juries think we have travel plans, we had plans over the weekend, you know, it may not be right, but it is just human nature that they reach a verdict. They reach a consensus. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen. And honestly, my gut is that they're going to be split on racketeering. Although, again, I don't know. And after O.J. Simpson, I've stopped making predictions. But my guess is that racketeering is going to be a hard one. And I mean, today, Brendan Paul testifies. He is the, quote, drug mule, although he denies being that, that was arrested. He was arrested at the airport in Miami the day Diddy's houses were searched. And he testified, I would set up hotel rooms for freak offs. I would sometimes buy drugs for Diddy, do things like that. Okay, what does that have to do with racketeering? I mean, it's legal to set up a hotel room and it's illegal to buy drugs. But if buying drugs is racketeering, I live in Los Angeles, and I would say that there must be several 100,000 people who are going to be guilty of racketeering who have drug dealers. That is not racketeering. And, you know, we get back to this whole thing about racketeering, that it really is kind of organized crime, where you have a business which is a subterfuge for some illegal operation. Diddy is a disorganized criminal. He's scattered all over the place. You know, get him, get her, do this, do that. He's a terrible boss, and he is a criminal for all of the things that have come out. But is he a racketeer? It is not the traditional view of racketeering. And I say that again with Brendan Paul. I'm just not seeing it. And as a matter of fact, one of the reasons I said Diddy won today is that, well, on cross-examination, Diddy's lawyers asked Brendan Paul, what about Jane, who was involved in the freak offs, and the prosecution says she was coerced. Well, they asked Brendan Paul, did you see any evidence of coercion? And he said no. Again, I am not saying whether Jane or Cassie was coerced, was not coerced. I'm just saying when somebody testifies to that, and it's the prosecution who called that person, you got to wonder, Why did the prosecution call Brendan Paul? How much good did Brendan Paul do for the prosecution in terms of proving racketeering? I don't see it. But in terms of talking about consent, since he saw Jane, that seems to help the defense. So I don't quite understand that game. So we are now coming upon what could be a very interesting jury deliberation. And there are three real elements here. One is racketeering, which I've talked about. My gut tells me there's going to be a split, at least initially, on racketeering. On the issue of consent, whether Cassie and Jane were coerced. Again, I think the most powerful evidence at this point is that airplane trip back from France where Cassie says Diddy showed me one of the freak off videos and said, unless you do a freak off in New York, I'm going to release the video. That's classic coercion. If the jury believes it, I think he's going to get convicted. But I haven't seen much more where they've shown that. And we will see on the coercion side. I don't know. On the side of just the Mann Act, of showing did cross state lines, give them money for the purpose of prostitution, I think that's where Diddy is in big trouble. I could easily see the jury coming back unanimously and saying yes to that. And I think that is going to be the most interesting charge, because you may have some jurors who say, I want to convict him on something, but I'm not quite feeling racketeering and not even feeling the consent issue, but at least I can get him on the Mann Act. So I could see some jurors saying that. On the other hand, you might have some jurors saying, well, I want to get him on the Mann Act, but I'm not sure of the other two. And since I've convicted him on one, I may let the other two go. So if I'm able to convey what I hope I am, is that this is a very complicated, dynamic process of a jury, in some ways, horse trading. And that is what goes on. Again, everybody thinks, oh, it's just by the book. You look at the jury instructions. There is horse trading going on sometimes in jury deliberation rooms where they want to reach a consensus and they got to figure out, how do you do it? And sometimes it could be that somebody is very persuasive saying, look, if you're really not sure on this one or this one, fine, we'll say not guilty, but here he's guilty. And the thing that everybody's thinking of is, how long is this going to go on? That you can't do it indefinitely. And they've already invested so much time, they don't want to end up with a hung jury and a mistrial. That's a very unsatisfying, hollow feeling. So they want to come up with something. And if they're divided, that's where horse trading often comes into play. So we are going into a weekend. Next week is going to be very, very interesting, because I think the jury is going to have this case next week unless something really unexpected happens. And I do want to say one other thing. The defense initially said that they were going to spend 2 weeks. So you got to wonder, why 1 or 2 days instead of 2 weeks? So it could be a variety of things, but my gut tells me that they don't have necessarily the strongest witnesses to call, number one, to rebut what the jury has already heard. But even more so, maybe they feel that they've got enough reasonable doubt that if they look strong and say, we don't need to rebut a lot, all we need is a day or two to button certain things up, and then we're going to give it to the jury. There's a feeling of confidence that the defense shows by doing something like that, that can telegraph to the jury, where the jury thinks, they don't think the prosecution proved their case, so they didn't have to do the full 2 weeks. And they might also think, and they're giving us a break because we don't have to sit through 2 more weeks of testimony. So there's a lot at play here. But I would say to you, be ready, because we may get a verdict in United States versus Sean Combs next week.
Interesting. So hold on one second, guys. Let me pause this. So the Diddy trial is entering the home stretch because prosecutors are almost done with their case, and the defense is now saying they only need 1 or 2 days to make their case. And it sounds like we could get a verdict as early as next week. Prosecutors called one of their final witnesses Friday, and we heard more of the same, this time from Brendan Paul, Diddy's former assistant, who said he's not a drug mill. Paul testified about getting drugs sometimes for Diddy and setting up hotel rooms for freak-offs, like other former Diddy helpers, but he helped the defense by saying on cross-examination it didn't feel like Jane was being coerced into participating in freak-offs. Prosecutors tried to use Paul's testimony to nail Diddy on RICO charges, but it may have backfired when he said there was no force or coercion with Jane and freak-offs. Jurors also saw texts from Diddy and Cassie, including one where Cassie said Diddy made her feel like a hooker, and another where she said she was not into the freak-offs. The defense told the judge they only need a day or two to make their case, and that means we could have closing arguments Thursday and deliberations Friday. So there's a chance the verdict comes out next week. Otherwise, this will stretch the final days before July 4th holiday, and is doubtful jurors want to think about this over a long holiday weekend, so stay tuned. Now, today, the judge also denied the the defense asked for the judge to get rid of juror number 7, because juror number 7, got a text asking was they, I don't know if it's a male or female, they juror number 6. So the defense was like, this is crazy. How does he get this text if he's keeping his mouth shut and not talking to anybody? But the judge denied that request today. Juror number 7 got to stay. It's messy. Savannah, your thoughts?
Today was a very interesting day for this trial, because this witness has been sitting around for 4 or 5 days waiting to testify. And I believe the prosecution came in probably a little bit too sure of themselves, and they did not realize that what they had on the stand was an employee. This was an employee of Combs Enterprise who was hired to be Sean's assistant, and he did exactly what he was supposed to do. He did his job. Just as he said, because they talked about he got arrested on the days that they raided both the residences, and he had some substance on him. And when they asked him, well, how did you get that? I found it in the room. That right there, because his job was to go in and clean up after after Sean, once he left a hotel room. So he said he found it there. How the prosecution never proved who it belonged to? That could have belonged to anybody that entered that room. That's just like saying the package that was found in the White House. The rumor was that it was Hunter Biden's, but nobody really knows where that package came from. It could have been planted. It could have been his. So the prosecution really got dealt. They were handed their tail today. And if I was the defense team, I too would say this case is weak. I don't believe that RICO has been proven. All I heard about was consenting adults participating in adult activities that they did at their own free will, and I heard no coercion, no threatening. I didn't hear any of that. No forcing drugs down throats. I didn't hear any of that. So I today see, I think he'll be found guilty on some lesser charges, but I think the prosecution took their shot too early, prematurely. They didn't have a case. They made this all about adult activities, and and I think the public and as well as the jury is tired of hearing that. The where is, you brought us in here, you pulled me away from my normal life to charge this man with racketeering, and no, I haven't heard it, and I don't follow the case on a daily, maybe 2 or 3 days a week, but I still haven't heard anything that would amount to racketeering. So if I think he'll spend a small amount of time in jail, but not much, not much. I think, but I don't think Diddy has won anything honestly besides his freedom, but which is priceless. However, I think that he's lost so much more with this foolishness here. So I hope he comes out and when this is done, that he can do better.
Yeah, I hope so too. But time will tell, right? We they saying by next week. Wayne, your thoughts?
You know, Brendan, I think they thought, when they got him, I think they thought they was gonna get some bigger fish,
Mm.
and he didn't. And from what I heard today, it kind of sounds like he helped the defense more than he did the prosecution. No, I didn't see it. It didn't look like that to me. No, no. And all he did was have some substances. It wasn't in the hands of Diddy. Okay, so it sounds like all he did was, you know, gave information to the for the defense, and the most I can see him like maybe having some substances, but I don't see anything tying him to Diddy as far as like anything nefarious. Diddy told me to go pick this up, go in the alley, meet this guy and give him this, and he gonna give you this, and and blah blah blah. No, Brendan don't lead to nothing. I mean, this was a day that could have been saved. They could have bought somebody else, because I don't think he did nothing for the prosecution.
He didn't.
He ain't know nothing. I mean, why you bring somebody on that don't know nothing? I mean, I don't know what they were trying to achieve, unless when he got that immunity and decide, you know what, I ain't gonna say this, I ain't saying this, I ain't saying that. So I think this was just a waste. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Katrina, your thoughts?
Same old, same old. Yeah, this is they're gonna probably get him on the prostitution thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the racketeering, I don't think so. And as we said before, that guy was saying that he was the one that went got it.
Don't touch my phone.
And
That's in the refrigerator.
okay, cool. Sorry, y'all. Grandma duties. But yeah, the guy said that he did all the stuff. So Diddy was pretty smart in the stuff that he was doing. He tried to keep his hands clean. He had all them doing the other stuff while he was behind the scenes, and they did it. So if they can't connect that back to him, then I don't know what they're gonna do. And like I said, they might get him on the uh the P thing, but other than that, the racketeering and everything like that, his hands is clean of it because he had them doing it and he was in the background. So we'll see how this goes. I mean, next week. So they really don't think they got a case. I feel whoever these lawyers was, prosecutors was, they need to go back to the drawing board because y'all brought some
Well,
malicious.
unfortunately, they inherited it. They inherited it. They inherited from Damon, and Damon left the building.
Damon left him hot to dry while
Yeah,
he was gone. He knew he have what he should have did his investigation further than coming out with this stuff. You should have
right.
made sure your ducks was in the row before you even came out and made an announcement or saying we're gonna do this, we gonna do that. You didn't make sure nothing was covered up. You didn't make sure everything was airtight. And this is a hot mess, as we said before. So, like I said, we haven't heard any racketeering. We haven't heard, as Felicia would say, where's the minors? We haven't heard anything about no minors. So, and we're not saying Diddy is a good person. Everybody got faults. Everybody knows. Well, we don't know what Diddy did. We only going by what the streets say. So, because we didn't see it with our own two eyes. So we'll just have to see what happens next week. Hopefully, this will be over. I pray this
Yeah.
is over.
Yeah,
That's all
yeah,
I got.
I had enough. I had enough. So I'm gonna go ahead and roll into the next story. You know, this lawsuit against Fat Joe is loaded. It is loaded with like every type of thing. You want racketeering, like it's just loaded. So the latest thing that came out with this Fat Joe case is the fact that I'm sorry, guys, my chair is stuck. Is the fact that the employee is saying that Fat Joe made him pretty much, I'm gonna say, have freak offs, and it's just so egregious, so crazy. Let me go ahead and share a screen. So Fat Joe allegedly forced former hype man to perform 4K acts with women while he watched, the suit says. So this suit has a lot of stuff in it. It also claims that Fat Joe wanted 50 Cent unalived. It's a mess. So hip hop star Fat Joe allegedly forced his former hype man to perform thousands of acts with women while he and members of his inner circle watched, according to the bombshell $20 million lawsuit, which we talked about yesterday. The All the Way Up rapper is accused of bringing women back to his hotel rooms and ordering ex-employee Terrence T.A. Dixon to do acts with them 4,000 times over a 16-year period, according to the federal lawsuit filed in Thursday Southern District of New York Court. The rapper, whose real name is Joseph, would provide explicit direction and commands for the encounters. So this description is describing freak offs, right? Which allegedly included an orgy on a yacht in Miami and faraway locations such as Spain and Germany. So he indirectly saying trafficking too, right? Fat Joe frequently arranged and orchestrated these encounters, intentionally creating scenarios designed to reinforce Dixon's complete submission, the suit states. The rapper used these acts not merely for gratification, but as control mechanism, according to the lawsuit, which states Dixon suffered from psychological coercion. Dixon, this is the one that's suing, who also worked as the hip hop star's lyricist, background vocalist, and bodyguard from 2005 to 2022, did not want to have relations with the woman, but did so solely out of fear of immediate retaliation, according to the court papers. So you served as a bodyguard for this man, and you didn't know how to protect yourself? When Dixon refused during one alleged incident, Fat Joe canceled his flight home, leaving him stranded with no money, the suit states. The overall psychological toll was immense on Dixon, who claims he eventually developed PTSD, flashbacks, and panic attacks, according to the lawsuit. The suit also claims Dixon saw the rapper have relations with minors, 15 and 16-year-olds. We talked about that yesterday. The lawsuits were also names Rock Nation claims the entertainment company either knew or should have known about the rapper's twisted abuse, but did nothing. Dixon also claims he co-authored dozens of songs, including Congratulations and Ice Cream. Also says he in the suit that he was underpaid. Of course, the Fat Joe attorney denies everything. This Dixon guy, his attorney is Tyrone Blackburn, and we all know how Tyrone Blackburn gets down. This is a hot mess. Savannah, your thoughts?
So, how does he know over 16 years the number is 4,000?
That part.
So he couldn't say no for 4,000 times, and you're a big old bodyguard, a producer, a writer. You had to be forced into having acts with other women and minors. But this lawsuit, and I'm not saying Fat Joe is innocent in any way, because he's been out in his earlier years. Joe was out in the realms and in the circles. And you know, the whole thing about having yacht orgies in the waters of Miami, that goes on every weekend. There's one going on right now. That's a normal thing. That's just something that adults do. Especially in Miami. You don't have to be a rapper, or there's business people out there doing their thing right now. It's just what happens. This lawsuit, it's typical Tyrone with the exaggerations, the BS, the lies. Um, and I don't know why he isn't brought up on some type of charges or lose his license or challenged by the state. Uh, I think that I really hope that Joe goes after them and after them both, because I think this is more than I think this man is trying to get a payday, saying he wrote all these songs, was with Joe for 16 years, but you didn't have money to get home on a flight. You got stranded somewhere. So your broke tail didn't have $200-300 for Southwest to get somewhere. I don't get it. And this is exactly why witnesses don't come forward. Real victims don't come forward because they take they abuse the courts and they lie and they take advantage and twist the truth to fit their narrative for their gain. So I hope that he is also brought up on charges of seeing minors being abused in the way that they were by Fat Joe and Terror Squad. I think he should also, he's just as guilty because that's somebody's child that you allow to, for your monetary gain and for your clicks, views, and likes, you allowed others to abuse them. So, miss me with the BS. The same thing with all the Dawn Richards and all them. Miss me with the BS. You're just as guilty as the bus driver that drove them there, as the person who opened the door. You're just as guilty. So, this is just a Tyrone Blackburn lawsuit. Typical.
Thank you. Wayne, your thoughts?
Now I ain't gonna go down this rabbit hole, because you expect me to believe that some grown tail man for 16 years, over 4,000 incidents or whatever, and you stayed in it for 16 years. No, you did it because the money was good. And I think when you didn't get enough, because everybody want to raise. You work 16 years. You don't expect to be making what you made at the first year. You expect to be elevated. So now it's a problem. Now it's a problem. You can say victim shaming or what, but I'm tired of trying to believe these people that they've been in something 10, 15 years, and you want to talk about all this abuse, all this stuff. It's unbelievable. And nobody went to the police. You stay in something 16 years and you doing this, either you like it or you need the money. And you have a lifestyle that you've grown accustomed to. So you feel like, okay, well, I need to maintain this. So you make a choice to stay because you got to pay your bills. You got to pay for the expensive car you got, whatever. So you're going to choose to stay. Now, granted, if you leave, you might lose your house, you might lose your car, but that's your problem. What's more important? Your integrity, or you gonna stay here? I'm gonna have to do this. I'm gonna have to do this. So you make choices. Live with the choices you make. Be accountable. Don't try now because the circus is open. The circus, not circus, but circuit is open where black men, billionaires, rich, they got money, are being targeted. I'm not saying they ain't done nothing, but I'm saying they're being targeted. So you just jumping on the bandwagon with all the rest of them, with the Cassies, the Capricorn, all these people who want to sue because they were sitting essayed 1,000 years ago, and you want to come forth now. You don't have evidence. It's your word that, oh, he made me do this, you know. So it's your word. So we supposed to believe you. So if you've been there for 16 years and you was a bodyguard, I'd like to think you was at least 21 years old. 21 and 16, that's 37. And you can't say no? You a bodyguard, you can't say no? Oh, no. These people are getting used to this lifestyle. They're getting used to this money, and it's hard to break away. So they're willing to do what they got to do to maintain. That's it.
Thank you. Katrina, your thoughts?
My thoughts are, why hasn't he been arrested? Didn't he say himself that he had to get involved with the sex acts with the people because he was going to be it was going to be retaliated against? So you having sex with these minors as well. So what we supposed to listen from you? You is a sex predator. If you doing what you saying that he told you to do, that you had to do it, and then your mama always tell you never go a place somewhere where you can't get back on your own, or somebody take you somewhere. You always supposed to have your mad money hid. How you go somewhere as a grown man and supposed to be working as a bodyguard, as a lyricist, as the backup singer, and all this, and you can't even get home? So Fat Joe, I guess he realized that he had an idiot. Because if you went all these places with this man and you can't even get back to your own home, he got himself an idiot. And you working for him and doing all this type of stuff, he seen that you was a mark, which if we believe what you're saying. But like I said before, because Fat Joe had went in bankruptcy because he didn't have no money. He had to come all the way back up. So I'm not getting this. And like I said, you saying you seen these minors, you didn't report it, you engaged in it. Do Blackburn know what he be writing when he be putting this stuff out? Because you telling on your client telling on himself. And then these girls say they don't even know y'all. I don't get it. I guess we'll find out sooner or later. They all, like I said, that's the lifestyle that they want to live, but you stayed in there for 16 years. So obviously you didn't see anything was wrong, because who in their right mind going to stay with somebody for 16 years and then get paid? We're not buying it. Like I said, either you was a flunky or you just was dumb. Well, both, or I might as well say. But I'm just, his story's not adding up. And another thing, you telling on yourself. You better be glad. You better hope the folks don't come knocking on your door to arrest you by you sitting up there agreeing, saying that you was sleeping with minors. But we'll see how it goes. That's all I got, Diva.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to roll right into the last story. We are going to stay connected to this Fat Joe lawsuit because it's just a lawsuit now. I'm going to run right into the last story. And the last story is these diners and dashers. And this particular restaurant, they wasn't having it. Let me see if this is, I think this is the one I want to show. Let's see. Let's see if it'll play for us.
With this summer-like weather, this is an important time for local restaurateurs to make income from outdoor dining. When some would-be patrons left without paying their bill, some local business owners took to social media. The outdoor patio is all set for the season at Flav's in University Village. But yesterday evening, surveillance cameras caught 3 people leaving without paying a $200 bill for a shrimp and lobster dinner, according to the owners.
The young lady who was serving their table, she got kids at home. She gets a percentage of that tip. She worked hard to serve their table. They had a lot of food. It's actually disappointing You know, it's very disappointing to see that from the community that we actually serve, because we pour into our community. We're a small business, and I see this happening so often to a lot of different small businesses throughout the city. And I mean, we got to do something.
What they did, posted on social media. Owners Phil Simpson and Andrew Bonsu say it wasn't long before people online identified the trio. Simpson said he's been texting one of them and someone actually offered to pay their bill. But Simpson says it's a bigger issue of would-be patrons taking from servers and this black-owned business that struggles to keep prices affordable despite the cost of goods and services going up.
They apologized. They sent someone up here to pay the bill, but I declined to accept it. At that point, it was just like, we're gonna pursue this the right way.
And we see this Dine and Dash really hurting the independent restaurants.
Sam Toya is the president of the Illinois Restaurant Association. He says this theft, known as Dine and Dash, has been increasing since the pandemic, and outdoor dining establishments see even more this time of year.
Definitely picks up in the summer months, and in Chicago, what do we get? Maybe 60 days of great weather that you can eat outside.
For us to actually put our hard-earned money to set that up for our community and to see things like this happening, it's kind of like, it's tasteless. It's important to, now to at least let them know, like, yo, Flays is not going to be tolerating the Dine and Dash.
The owners hope that word is spreading on social media so that those who might be tempted to dine and dash would consider who they're hurting.
It's a shame. Let me just stop that right there. It's so sad that, people would even do this, and then they laugh and they thinking it's a joke. It's not funny, and it's definitely not fair to anybody. Savannah, your thoughts?
The owners handled this correctly, because this generation, they live their life on social media, and it's all about clicks and views, and it is the only way that most of them feel shame. So being outed in their community and being known as the trio that Dine and Dash and hurt a black-owned business, I think that the owners were correct in doing what they did and not accepting someone else to come up there and pay, because they haven't learned their lesson. They really haven't learned their lesson. I don't think that they have any remorse for what they do. I know that happens quite frequently up here in DC, and it's disheartening to see that it's usually these smaller family restaurants that get hit by Dine and Dashers. So I think that the community should come together and do, make this a more prevalent issue, maybe with their leaders in the community, and have them, I don't know, back in the day, Diva, when we used to get in trouble like that, we would have to go out and either clean the sides of the streets, or go to the baseball park and clean the bleachers or something. I think we need to go back to those days and have them pay for their misdeeds. So I'm all for it. So I think they did right, and it's unfortunate, but this generation, and they're so ignorant. Cameras everywhere, and what makes you your face and you're and just clowning and laughing? Do you not think that you're hurting the waitress who the server who has a family and depends on a tip, because they barely get minimum wage. I'm not sure if it's even above $5 for their hourly pay, and then for them to do something this stupid. So I hope that they end up paying some way, somehow.
Thank you. And you know what? I thought the owner was smart. No, you're not going to just come pay me. We going to report you to the cops, because we got to stop the rest of the people from thinking they're going to come here and dine and dash. Wayne, your thoughts?
I agree with Savannah. Okay, they don't need to go to jail. But if I had the power, where that little store, where that little restaurant was, whatever it was, it looked like where there are other stores around and things like that. I'd have all 3 of them out there cleaning in front of the stores, washing the windows, and they'd be wearing a shirt that says, "I dined and dashed." And everybody in those establishments, all in that area, they need to see their faces. These are the ones that dined and dashed. And everybody, that section, need to know these young, I don't know if they were young people, middle-aged people, whatever, but need to know who they are. And let the YouTubers be out there filming. And let them get some content. Put it right on YouTube. That's how you get folks like that. That's how you get them. That's it.
Thank you, Wayne. Katrina, your thoughts?
I hate going last because people be taking my ideas. But I was thinking the same thing. I would have them walking up and down the street picking up trash saying, dine and dash. What they're going to start doing is, and I don't know how the restaurant going to do this, they're going to start making people pay before they even get their food. And I don't know if you can refund it back after you being paid. I mean, because these people are getting tired of people just coming in their stores and coming into their restaurant, eating their food and don't want to pay. I mean, it's not like it's free stuff. They got to run a business just like this person want to come in there and eat. And then you go into the lobster place or whatsoever. You can't afford to get your hands dirty because I love going to the crab house getting my hands dirty. If you can't afford to get your hands and stuff dirty, you need to stay at home or go crabbing yourself. Don't go in these people places and stealing their stuff. I mean, be for real. Nobody want that. I mean, happen to their businesses, and then they saying they trying to keep their costs low, so people will still come in there to eat, and then y'all coming in there eating their food and then leaving. And like Savannah said, the waitress probably, she's working on tips. They get paid a certain amount. I think if they don't get a tip or something like that, they get their full whatever the minimum wage is or whatever they're making. But most of it relies on their tips. And most time, what I do, I don't even leave a tip there. I would ask them, do they have a cash app, so it'll go directly to them, so they wouldn't have to wait on their paychecks. And a lot of them do that. If I go to a place, I ask, do you got cash out before I put the tip on this receipt? Because at the end, they have to split the money and stuff up. But I feel like if this person right here waited on me, they the ones supposed to get the tip. But maybe that's just me. But no, they do need to be plastered all over Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, whatever, and outside with shirts saying that we dine and dash the same way they used to do those juveniles when they get in trouble in school. They have them walking up down the street with an orange coat on, with an orange little jacket on, picking up trash off the side of the street. You have to teach these people and show these people that you're not just going to sit back and let people come in there and take over their businesses and run them out of business because they're trying to provide for the service for the customers. It's sad. You can't afford to can't afford to eat no lobster, stay your butt at home. That's all I got.
Thank you. Sandy Mo, your thoughts?
Hey everybody, just came in to support the show.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Are we just talking about the grab and dash, or are we talking about the Fat Joe?
We were talking about the grab and dash, dine and dash, but you can talk about whatever you want because we're about to close out. So what would you like to talk about?
Sure, we can talk about that. I just noticed this is definitely a trend with the younger generation. Like, I feel like the older generation definitely used to steal some things. But now it's like these people don't even want to work. They want to be streaming for a job. I'm not saying it's not work to stream, but it's the stuff they want to do. Like they want to be pranking. They don't want to do anything of content, like I'm teaching you something, something like that, like I'm putting together a real show. If they could, they would just stream themselves in the bathroom, boom, get the check. They want to go stealing stuff. Anything easy. I feel like they try to take the easy way out. They definitely don't want to learn anything, or even at the job, it just seems like they don't want to stay in advance that long. As soon as they realize it's not paying well, I'm out. I'm like, you have to wait. Nobody's just gonna pay you a whole bunch of money out of nowhere.
Just because, right.
So it's just, that's what I'm seeing the trend is, like, people just want everything easy. Like, it's not gonna be easy. And their relationships, they're failing way more quickly than what was dealing with in the past. Like, yeah, people was divorcing maybe in the now times, but they'll be married for 15 years, whatever, 7 years. Like, they'll have a track record. Maybe they realize it didn't work. But now it could be one day, it could be a year, but they just give up for nothing. Just, they want everything easy. Like, it's not going to be easy. Like, even the way they're dating, just hop from partner to partner. It's like, calm down. You know, like, you got to work hard. Things come slow in life. Can't just be stealing up everybody's stuff. About to get yourself jail. You don't want to be in jail. It's not going to be fun.
It is not going to be fun. That's exactly it. But you know what? I do agree with you. It's this quick money, this easy thing. And you know, this generation, you know, with the making money, and nothing is wrong with it. The money on the Instagram, the TikTok, the YouTube, or whatever. And they don't know what work is. But to sit there and go to a restaurant and eat some food and have somebody that's spending their time that cook that food, that come serve the food to you, and you want to dine and dash, I think it is just horrific and it's very sad. It's so messy. But I like the take, because these two, the restaurant owners, they look fairly young. And they were very calm about it. And I thought they handled it in a very mature way. Because, you know, I would have been like, all right, whatever, come pay. But I like the way they dressed it. They was like, no, we good. No, y'all
Yeah.
want to dine and dash? Go ahead on with yours. So now we're gonna go through this the proper way through the police and get yourself a little record. And maybe next time you won't sit there and dine and dash.
Now they begging to pay.
Now they begging to pay. That's why increased matter. Triflers. Sandy Mo, did you want to say anything else?
Oh yeah, because they're not gonna be doing that in the future. Because listen, a lot of the business owners right now are still the older generation. Wait until they try that mess on this newer generation. It's already videos going around when you don't pay for your hairstyle. They dragging you out the place, beating you up.
Ooh.
Like, the new generation don't play like that. You gonna dine and dash on them and find out. They're gonna be
Yeah.
following you out in the parking lot. Where my money?
Cut your braids out.
Oh
Yeah,
my
got
God.
you all over social media. She ain't pay for the food. Y'all see this?
It's crazy. It's very sad. It's crazy what's going on these days. But you know what? I really think at least one of them, because he said he was in contact and texting with one of them, was trying to, you know, make this wrong right. So I think at least one of them definitely learned the lesson. And they said, you know, I had the whole article, I just didn't read it, but the last person that got up, they said that person probably didn't even know like what was going on, what they was doing. And then when they realized it, they got up and started to run too. That's why you also got to watch the company that you keep. You really got to watch the company that you keep, because you're thinking the other two probably knew what was up. Like, I just can't imagine sitting somewhere eating and not paying the people for the service. But listen, guys, we got a lot of stories to stay connected to. I'm super happy that this Diddy trial is going to be over soon, because it's a lot, and I really had enough. Okay, Fat Joe, we're going to see how this turns out. It's a lot. But I do believe, and again, this is not me saying right, wrong, or indifferent, or knowing for a fact what Fat Joe did. But I think a lot of people in this industry have a lot of Diddy-like behaviors. I think Diddy's was at the 100 power. He did the most. But I think some of the other ones fall somewhere along the spectrum and maybe not as high as Diddy. We see from the trial that Kanye West seemed to be throwing these type of parties. It's messy. So God only knows what other names are going to come out with this. And this dine and dash is deplorable. Stay home. Go to the store, buy your own shrimp and lobster. Don't be stealing from people. It's not right. And it's unfair to the other community goers. And it's unfair to the other people that may go to the restaurant and look like you, look like they did, because they might be given on the sideline like, okay, are they going to sit here and dine and dash too? It's just bad. Anyway, guys, y'all know the routine. If you ain't hit that like button on the way in, please hit the like button on the way out. I'll see you tomorrow night for Trending Topics. Good night and goodbye, everybody. Choo choo.
Choo choo.